make it.
All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries 5-0. Number 6 on the agenda we're going to be picking up is the consideration and action on an order authorizing the issuance of an amount of approximately $8 million Karnes County, Texas General Obligation Bonds, Series $8 million. $8 million. Karnes County, Texas General Obligation Bonds, Series 2013, levying a continued direct annual ad valorem tax on all taxable property within the county to pay the interest on said bonds, and to create a sinking fund for the redemption thereof and the assessment and collection of such taxes, authorizing the sale thereof, and enacting provisions incident related to the issuance of the said bonds.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, members of the court. It's fun to come here under these kinds of circumstances. As you know, the court authorized us as the county's financial advisor several weeks ago to move forward with an $8 million transaction to provide $7 million in funding for the jail pursuant to an election held and approved by voters in the county, and $1 million of the $3 million that voters had previously approved for road materials. I have been asked many, many times what the interest rate on those bonds were going to be, and therefore what the debt service was going to be. And I had indicated to you that the key to determining the interest rates was going to be the bond ratings. We had a rating call about 10 days ago. The judge in Luana represented the county very well, and our call was Standard & Poor's. We had hoped for a AA bond rating category, and in fact, that's exactly what we got. We got an A-, a AA- bond rating. I was actually hoping for, as I discussed at length with the judge in Luana, hope for a solid AA without that minus moniker. We asked them why we got a AA minus instead of a AA, and I'm sure it comes as no surprise to you at all. You've got tremendous tax base, great financials, tremendous fund balance. The problem is that all the economic activity in the county is concentrated in one field, oil, gas, minerals at this point. The top 10 taxpayers in the county represent over 60% of the tax base in the county. So it's certainly not a reflection at all, a negative reflection on Karnes County or anything having to do with the administration of the county or the governance of the county. It's simply the economic fact that so much of your wealth and your economic activity is concentrated in one industry. But again, AA minus is a bond rating increase. It's a tremendous bond rating. And we were able to go out this morning with Samco Capital Markets, who is the firm that the county selected to act as their underwriter, and got what I think you will find to be a very attractive interest rate. It estimated 3.5%. And we had expected your debt service to be about $959,000. In fact, we got a 2.47% all-in yield. To be more precise, 2.479414% interest rate on the bonds. Not only that, pursuant with the direction of this court, we explored the options of getting what we call a short call. These bonds go out 10 years, and we wanted to preserve the ability to pay the bonds off sooner than that if your tax base continued to grow. We did include in these provisions the ability to pay the bonds off in 5 years. So, very attractive interest rate, even with the short call. Your debt service will be an average annual of about $911,000 that will pay off definitively August 15th of 2023, unless the county does take action to pay the bonds off earlier than that. If you look at the sources and uses sheet that I gave you, you will see that the par value, or the stated par value of the bonds, is $7,750,000. The reason that's the case is that when we price the bonds, the investors want a slightly higher coupon than what's called current market rates. And if you look on the second page, you'll see your average coupon is 3.13%. Because we're paying a coupon that is slightly higher than 2.47%, they're actually going to pay us $8,162,189.63 for those $7,750,000 worth of bonds. So as Mr. Pollan, who's a county bond attorney representing Bickerstaff, Heath, South Dakota, Costa, he can explain, the mechanics of that, but we are using $8 million worth of voted authorization because we are in fact putting $8 million into your construction account. So we will be using the stated authorization, but the par value will be $7,750,000 at interest rates that we think are very attractive. And we would certainly recommend that the court accept the offer by Samco to sell the bond at that point. Is there any questions that anybody might have that I can answer?
Other than what some of these bar amount means, and these other little financial terms, they have no idea what they mean.
Well, again, to summarize, you're issuing $7,750,000 worth of bonds. You're issuing them at a price of $8,162,000. We're going to be able to pay all the related costs of issuance and deposit a net of $8 million into your construction accounts for the jail and the roads. Your effective interest rate is 2.479414. Your average annual debt service will be about $911,000 for 10 years, about $48,000 less than had been budgeted. And the county will have the right to pay the bonds off in 5 years if it so desires. Tom, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Just to explain what just happened on the pricing, Bob was able to put what is called premium. That is the difference in the additional amount that these underwriters are paying. So he was able to get $250,000, which would go into equal to $8 million. Everything else is taken care of, all the expenses and everything, as a result of that additional premium. So you're not out, you've got $8 million fully to use on your project. So you don't have to worry about dipping into your principal for your cost of issuance. What you have before you is your order. It has a bunch of blanks. Those blanks reflect your numbers that Bob Henderson just gave you. If you approve this, you'll approve it with the instructions that we're to take those numbers and fill in the blanks. Because of the price today, we cannot get that information into the draft through. Yes, approving the order will be self-effective and authorize approving the sale of the bonds to Samco at the prices given. You're promising that you're going to keep these bonds tax exempt. The type of project you're doing with these is not the type of things you need to be worrying about some kind of activity because the bonds are taxable. So you're promising to keep it tax exempt. You're also going to be promising to maintain certain disclosure requirements throughout the life of the bonds. And Bob and I will help with that category. If there are any questions, we'll be happy to try to answer.
My understanding is in that we will sell these bonds, and Samco will not be sending us additional bill. They're getting theirs out to start with.
Yes.
And you will not be sending us additional bill.
That is correct.
He's on our payroll.
Now, I won't be sending an additional bill.
I might let you buy me a hot dog.
All right. I'll make sure that's.
$8 million of net to your bank. Actually, $8,200,000, because there's a rounding figure in there too. I didn't want to bore you with all the details.
Well, we're paying that in interest.
Oh, okay, the interest. So, $8 million in your construction account, and then the accrued interest and the rounding figure of $2,484 will also go to the interest expense.
I don't have any questions for him. I'm just glad we have that 5-year option.
I think it's gonna be good.
That's good.
Kind of makes you wish you were selling the rest of the bonds, though, doesn't it? You know. I would like to claim that Tom and I are geniuses with this interest rate, but the reality is that Mr. Bernanke at the Federal Reserve last week reversed course with respect to the extension of the community REIT program, and that helped interest rates, so, you know, better than lucky and smart.
So if we make the motion to approve this, we can go through and fill in the blanks.
Mr. Collins' firm will incorporate those numbers.
Unless you want me to read each one.
Y'all want to do it locally? Or let it fill it in? How are you going to do it?
And you're authorizing me to take these numbers and fill in blanks on them.
Okay.
That's the way that it's typically done, because the bonds weren't, the sale was not negotiated until this morning, so literally only at 11 o'clock, we knew what the coupons and the rates were going to be.
Can they email that to us? Can you all email it back over here for us in order for us to execute, or how do we have to do that?
Well, typically, we execute the copy I brought today, and then I will put back and substitute with the right numbers.
Just along as the motion to approve the ordinance includes incorporation of these figures.
Okay.
Don't everybody jump out?
No, and these figures mean that,
Yes.
Yes. So that
the number we authorize,
Number 6, as written, with the incorporation of the numbers.
corporation,
I'll second it.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Let me get this one copy to you, Tom, is that what you need?
No, I've got a copy for you to sign, an execution. I have lots.
That's okay.
Awesome, if we could take a brief recess so we could get all this signed.
You got a recess for 10 minutes, so we can find you. Yes.
Make motion to recess.
All in favor?
recess for 10 minutes.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Judge and Tom, I'm going to give the official.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 7 is discuss approve, disapprove the adoption of a budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2013 through September 30th, 2014.
Hopefully this is it. I'll go over some changes that were incorporated since the original proposed budget was filed on August 30th. Revenues, we added $7 million in the general fund revenues from these bond proceeds that were just sold. I did not include the revenue side originally. In all departments that have employees, the life insurance reduced from $144 per year to $105.60 per employee. Non-departmental department increased the cost of the independent audit from $22,500 to $32,000. Just a reminder for the court, we did not budget any contribution dollars to Karnes Economic Development Corporation. In judicial, we decreased the court reporter's salary, $18,284.70 to $18,414.34. The associated reduction in Social Security and Medicare went from $1,857.78 to $1,791.20. Decreased health insurance for the court reporters, they are participants in Atascosa County program, went from $3,000 to $2,527.20. The district's retirement, which they also are participants in Atascosa County, $3,362.82 to $3,242.50. The DA's budget contribution from Karnes County reduced from $113,264,000 to $112,056.32. Now, that $113,264 was the original proposed budget. We had another proposal in between then and now that I put in, and it increased $12,000. I contacted Ray Sansom, and so $112,056.32 is the correct amount for Karnes. Court coordinator's budget contribution to their department, it was at $22,725.14. It reduced to $22,216.15. The increased district judge's liability insurance increased from $151 to $351. Capital outlay, we removed the road and bridge facility from the general fund. And at that point in time, what was in the proposed was $1 million. We decreased the EMS facility from 500 to 200. We decreased courthouse restoration from 1.5 million to 1.225 million. We increased the jail, as it was originally presented in the proposed, from 3.5 million to the full 10.5 million. Because we're showing the bonds as revenue, we have to show the 7 million as expenditures. We decreased the parking lot and awning at 115 North Market, that's the juvenile probation building, from $34,500 to $4,500. We removed the record storage building, which was $170,000 to zero, and we decreased the projects at 119 North Brown from $22,000 to $0. In courthouse maintenance, we increased the emergency power supplier $20,000. Waste facility, we decreased the backhoe from $40,000 to zero. The sheriff's department, we decreased the new positions from 13 to 6, decreased the equipping of those positions from 13 to 6, which that includes vehicles, laptops, cell phones, vests, weapons, etc. Decreased the cell phones, decreased air cards for the laptops. That total decrease was $475,110.58. Road and Bridge Department, we decreased the salary for the engineer administrator from $81,000 to $65,000. The original proposed budget held the $81,000 as the salary line in case there would have been actual engineers applied. With that reduction in salary, it also reduced the Social Security and Medicare, $1,453.50. And the retirement, $2,631.02. We decreased the equipment acquisitions from $489,459.90 to $226,262.35. That removed all requests for equipment except for the buyout on the 772G motor grader and the sign machine at $17,000. We decreased all vehicles requested in the Road and Bridge Department. None are in the budget to be purchased. We increased the Road and Bridge Department by $7,305 for road repairs on 302, I believe, was the county road. Then the fence was erroneously taken out. And then we increased the Road and Bridge budget by $250,000 for a facility. And then the JP Tech fees, we increased by $21,960 for copiers for each of the JPs. In reference to the bond sale, Bob mentioned that the approximate annual P&I will be $911,000 to pay those off. In our current year, fiscal year 14 budget for P&I for the bonds, it's $959,750 based on the calculated IMS. Page 98.
So one is a balanced budget.
It's not a balanced budget based on the revenues and expenditures. We do have adequate funds in the unencumbered fund balance to cover it. The first sheet I gave you that was not attached indicates the shortfall of $5,880.75.
That would come out of unencumbered funds,
Yes,
and that would balance the budget.
yes.
We have much more than that that went into number, that was budgeted for this year. Fact, you have something carrying some over into it, take it back out.
For the last umpteen years, unencumbered funds has been utilized as a balancing fund.
You said that for the past umpteen years, the unencumbered funds have been used as a balancing factor for the budget, correct? For some people.
What's the deficit? Without going into the unencumbered fund balance?
Expenditures over revenues is $55,880.75.
I'm fine with it.
Of that, 47,000 will be recovered in the difference from approximate annual P and I will be and budgeted principal and interest for bonds.
So 47,000 of it will be recovered, so you're going to pretty much $8,000 is what we're looking at to take out unencumbered funds. Is that correct? Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
So as I understand it, you're going to take 55,000 and change of the unencumbered fund balance because the commissioner's court can't find $55,000 to cut and have a balanced budget for the first time in umpteen years.
No,
Can't do that?
We have we have had to utilize, the Commissioners Court has had to utilize some unencumbered fund balances for the last umpteen years
That's what you
to
said.
balance.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's not the right. So we're gonna get the 47,000 back, so we're really gonna be 8,000, we're 8,000
Well,
Get-
when you add
so to speak.
everything together and put it all in one pot.
Great.
Comment that my personal feelings are that we shouldn't have cut all the equipment out of Road and Bridge. If we needed it Road and Bridge, we should have gone ahead and spent that out of unencumbered balance to get the equipment that we needed.
Maybe.
But we didn't do that. We have it set up this way, and this is the way we're going.
We tried our best to cut as much as we could for the public, and the public spoke and wanted us to balance it, even though we could have used, if we would have gone a little bit over on unencumbered funds, we tried to cut as much as we possibly could, and I think leaving $55,000, I think we did good. Herb, is there any reason or anything illegal with us passing the budget the way it is and putting $55,000 out of the unencumbered funds? We've done it for years, so would there be anything against the county or anything against the Commissioner's Court by doing that?
And we all know one of the things that made it harder, the jail came in at a very high cost.
Yeah, I understand.
Lots of testing and soil and pouring and everything else went over there. But it could be paid out later.
And let's keep in mind that the tax rate was also lowered significantly,
118.
more so than needed to be done.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Over that,
it wasn't just the jail.
with that being said, I'll make the motion to approve the adoption of the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2013 through September 30, 2014, as presented with the $55,888.75 deficit, taking that out of the unencumbered funds to balance the budget.
Second that motion.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
You're welcome.
No. Y'all are welcome.
The next item on the agenda is the discussion and possible action to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the budget in accordance with local government code 111.008. And Brenda gave me the exact wording we have to use for ratification, and I think I gave it to Tom a while ago. So I need to see if this is in there. The property tax code brings on me that we have to use the exact language as listed in the property code when we adopt the tax rate. Correct, Brenda?
Pardon me?
Is that correct? We have to use the exact language that's in the tax code when we're adopting that. What you brought me earlier.
Yes, the proposed rate.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
For the ratification.
Yeah, for the ratification, you have that from the other day, right? Okay, there you go.
You have to take that out?
Yes.
Number 9?
That has to be the motion.
So do we have to read it out to the public to hear what you presented?
Number 8, discussion and possible action to ratify the property tax increase. Did I not read it? I'm sorry. Discussion and possible action to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the budget in accordance with local government code 111.008.
Or do you want the motion to?
That's this one.
Can you read it?
It's just the order of the Commissioner's Court.
Can you read it? Or do we have to read it?
It didn't have to be read. It's just an order. It's out of the book. We just need to.
An order of the Commissioners Court for the County of Karnes, Texas, ratifying the property tax increase reflected in the fiscal year 2013-2014 budget that will require raising more revenue from property taxes than in the fiscal year 2012-2013 budget. Whereas Commissioners Court has, on the same date and prior to its consideration and adoption of this order, adopted separately the budget of the County of Karnes for the fiscal year 2013-2014 budget, and whereas the fiscal year 2013-2014 budget will require raising more revenue from property taxes than in the budget of the county of Karnes for the fiscal year 2012-2013. And whereas section 111.008C Texas Local Government Code provides that upon the adoption of a budget that will require raising more revenue from property taxes than in the previous year, that a separate vote of the Commissioners Court to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the budget, and that such vote is in addition to and separate from the vote to adopt the budget or to set the tax rate. And whereas, in order to comply with section 111.008C of the Texas Local Government Code, it is necessary for the Commissioners Court to take the actions accomplished and evidenced by this order. Now therefore, it is ordered by the Commissioners Court, and FO is for the county, it's got FO the county of Karnes, Texas, that in compliance with the requirements of section 111.008C of the Texas Local Government Code, the Commissioners Court of the county of Karnes is hereby in all things ratify the property tax rate reflected in the fiscal year 2013-2014 budget, which will require raising more revenue for property taxes than in the fiscal year 2012-2013, passed and approved by the Commissioners Court, County of Karnes, Texas, on the 30th day of September 2013, and we'll need the judge to sign it as well as the county clerk to attest the stamp. We need a vote on what we're going to do. I move that we approve what I just read.
Item number 8. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The next item on the agenda is presentation by the tax assessor collector of the certification of the 2013-2014 excess debt collection. I'll give you the information statement.
I've read the Yonesec tax assessor collector for the county of Karnes solemnly swear that the amount of excess debt service funds collected in the 2013-2014 for the county of Karnes interest and sinking fund has been determined to be zero. Signed by me, dated today.
Thank you. Number
So
10.
we're going to do now the collection rate. Number 2.
You want me to read it out?
Yes, please.
Item number 10. Move on.
We have to sign it today, so I want to make sure that we sign it in the court. Presentation by the tax assessor collector of the certification of the 2013-2014 anticipated collection rate.
I've read the Yonesec tax assessor collector for the county of Karnes solemnly swear the anticipated collection rate for the 2013-2014 year for the county of Karnes interest and sinking fund has been estimated to be 100%. Signed and dated by me today. You said you were just going to read out the next ones?
Yes, approve, disapprove the adoption of the general fund maintenance and operating tax rate at .1373 per hundred. General fund maintenance and operating tax rate at 0.184 per hundred for a total tax rate of 0.1557 per hundred. And I think, Brenda, when we do this, we have to approve both of them.
Yeah, I've got this one's for the general fund. They add together, yes,
Right.
to make .187. Here's for the general fund, and then here's the one for the road and bridge.
Motion to adopt.
Yes.
I'll make a motion we adopt the general fund managed operating tax rate at .1373 per hundred, and general fund interest and sinking rate, tax rate at 0.0184 per hundred for a total tax rate of .1557 per hundred.
I second it.
Do we need to read this, that this is going to be at the end, we add the two together? We didn't put them on those separate items, so we can move that will be the overall, is that correct?
Yes, that'll be fine.
The overall,
Yeah, before we
okay.
get.
Who seconded that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Was that for, just because it makes those?
Yes.
Yeah, we have to do it. Road and bridge.
The And then next item is to disapprove the adoption of a road and bridge special maintenance and operating tax rate at 0.313 per hundred, road and bridge special interest and sinking rate at nothing per hundred, for a total road and bridge tax rate of 0.313 overall. And that will make the total property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.1870, which is effectively a 25.50% increase in the tax rate.
Make the motion to approve number 12 as presented.
I'll second.
Remember, please, that part too, yeah, as I stated it.
Okay, I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.1870, which is effectively a 25.50% increase in the tax rate.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries 5-0. Okay, so yes, I'm here, also on that side.
Before you do that, let me clarify, this morning on the bills, you asked about your Office Depot bills. What Tito brought over were the bill of lading from the shipping company and the packing slip from the order. We got the invoices in Friday's mail. They will be processed for payment the first session in October.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something.
Uh-huh.
I know this budget process was a hot and heavy and a hard, very trying thing to do for everybody. And I appreciate everybody doing their part of the work and trying to get this completed. I want to thank you for doing what you did and all that. But my comment to everybody in every department is this: your budget for next year starts tomorrow. Start planning your budget tomorrow. We need to keep a better eye on what we're doing. We're asking a lot more information, more numbers, but October 1 starts, that's when the new budget for next year starts. I mean, for the 2015, 2016, the following year. Be looking at what we're doing then, keeping track of what you're doing. I think we all need to just do a better job of recording what we do and how we do it, because this process can be a lot smoother than what it is. We just need to learn how to work together more and trust each department more. That's all I got to say.
Well, I'm sorry, Judge. To follow up on what he said, I agree with what he said, but I also thank God that next year on the budget process, we give a certain date for everyone to bring in what their wish list, so to speak, with a backing of why they need it. And if it isn't in by that date, they should get the same budget that they got from the last year. Because everybody should be treated, equally, but then we should give them a certain amount of time so we don't end up like this every year. We tell them it's going to be by this day. If you don't have it by that day, I'm not being cruel or anything, but it reflects back up on us too. If you don't have it ready by that day, then you get the budget you had last year. We have to work a system on it.
Yeah, but when we had our budget request to go on, like I'm wanting a money counter, because I have a lot more money, cash that comes into my, I put a picture of it in the chair that I wanted, I put a picture in there, you have it in your packet, I don't know what else you want me to do.
Everybody did pretty much put what they wanted in their mind. Most of it was in there.
I'm sorry, I wasn't directing it to any one
I
person.
know, but I'm telling you, majority that that's what I did, because that's what Luana asked for, and she asked for it in plenty of time. It's last minute trying to throw salaries and stuff in there to hurry people up and look, oh, just approve, just go on.
That's what I'm talking
Because
about.
then, basically, quite frankly, the rest of us who do what we're supposed to get the shaft.
It's not gonna be like that next year. We don't have enough time.
Yeah, let's,
I'll second it.
all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.